Want to take odds on if the sign stays for the whole time or if it falls? Okay. Good. All right, good afternoon and welcome to Ground Truth Agriculture. Thanks everybody for coming. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory, and that the city of Regina is located on Treaty 4 territory, the original lands of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Kyle Folk. I am the founder and CEO of Ground Truth, and I'll be your host for today's announcement. But first, a few housekeeping items. Emergency exits. So we have a couple doors here that we would use as emergency exits. They are locked, so if you're first, unlock it, then we'll go out. Muster point on the west side of the building. When you came in here, you would have seen a building called Ecol Electric across the road. We just meet out on the road. There would be our muster point in the case of an emergency. And washrooms. There are 2 washrooms located back here, or for those of you that came through the office, there's 2 washrooms up there as well. So today we are pleased to welcome the Honorable Eleanor Olszewski, Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience and Minister responsible for Prairies Economic Development Canada, known as Prairies Can. Minister Olszewski is a distinguished legal professional with a strong commitment to advocacy and fairness in the legal system. She is a civil litigator with extensive experience in commercial litigation, insurance defense, and administrative law with a focus on professional discipline. After earning her law degree from the University of Alberta, Minister Olszewski became one of the first female partners at an Edmonton law firm. As an advocate, she worked hard to ensure that her clients were treated fairly. Minister Olszewski holds a Juris Doctor in Law and a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy, both from the University of Alberta. The mother of 2 grown children, Minister Olszewski lives in Edmonton with her husband, Larry. As a proud Edmontonian, she has represented the riding of Edmonton Centre since April 2025, and I personally hope has been a lifelong Edmonton Oilers fan. I won't make you answer that. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Eleanor Olszewski to the podium.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Thank you for that great introduction. So appreciated. It's a pleasure to be here. This is actually my first official visit to Saskatchewan, to Regina in particular, as Minister responsible for Prairies Can, and it's a real honor for me to be here today. Like all good Albertans, I was actually born in Saskatchewan, in Swift Current. So just happy to be back to kind of my old stomping grounds. So here today in Regina and also in Saskatoon tomorrow, I'll be listening to business and community leaders talking about the opportunities and the challenges that shape and will shape Saskatchewan's economy. And we'll talk about how rapidly changing technology like AI is really transforming industries. And we'll explore ways that we can turn those challenges into opportunities for growth and for progress. But before getting to today's really great announcement, I really want to recognize the urgency that many Canadians have been facing this summer. And here in Saskatchewan, as well as across the prairies and in other parts of the country, wildfires have devastated communities. They've destroyed homes. They've upended people's lives. And in these really difficult times, I just want to assure you that the federal government is here and ready to support. We, together with our provincial and our community partners, are helping with immediate response. And I really want to thank firefighters, the Canadian Armed Forces, first responders, emergency management officials, local volunteers, the humanitarian workforce like Canadian Red Cross, for their dedication in helping those affected by wildfires. You know, a lot of these people put their own lives at risk to save others, and so we owe them a great deal of gratitude. So at the same time, geopolitics is putting a strain on our economy here in this country and our environment, and business and workers are feeling the strain of tariffs, and they're navigating the uncertainty that goes along with that. So The announcements we make today about AI are really a way to help resolve at least some of those pressures, because they'll give Saskatchewan businesses new tools to innovate, to stay competitive, and really to build long-term resilience in the face of a myriad of challenges. So across the world, economic realities, they're really driving change and driving innovation. And AI is really central to any discussion about the future. The Prairies, and especially Saskatchewan, have been quietly contributing to Canadian innovation and to developing our technological capacity. And they've been doing that for generations. And now AI is playing a critical role in building one strong Canadian economy. The fact is, Canada is already a pioneer in AI research. And my colleague, Evan Solomon, is our first ever Minister of AI and Digital Innovation. And he's made that point. You know, he said we have some of the best companies in the world, but we as Canadians were lagging a little bit behind on adoption. So we need to use AI more to drive productivity, to drive competitiveness and growth. So our federal government's responding by investing in the businesses and in the organizations that demonstrate leadership and forward thinking, so that they can help us achieve really what we need to do, which is have a more durable economic future. So that's why I'm here today. AI is becoming more accessible and really less abstract. You know, we used to think of it only in terms of sort of ChatGPT and other applications like that, but it's becoming really more and more integrated into our daily lives. And so companies here in Saskatchewan, including the one that we're going to talk about in a moment, they're really unlocking solutions, and they're moving from conception to prototype to commercializing. And they're all scaling up so that we can compete in the marketplace. So I believe that the companies here, like the one we're here to support today, really demonstrate the character of the people and people who work here on the prairies. They're really people whose relentless efforts feed and fuel the global population and our future. So today I'm here to happily announce that the Government of Canada, through PrairiesCan, is investing over $1.3 million in 3 businesses. And they are Green Wave Innovations, Off-Street Technology, and Ground Truth Agriculture, our host today. And they're really great examples of the transformational leadership that exists in our country and in Saskatchewan in particular. These investments will help leverage AI to help commercialize, in the case of Ground Truth, a new grain grading system, a system of enhanced energy monitoring for commercial buildings and industrial buildings, and then thirdly, an expanded marketing for a guest parking platform. So let me just focus on one example, and that's the work being done by our host, Ground Truth, because it really underlies how AI has such wide-ranging applications. Ground Truth will receive $586,000 to complete and commercialize an AI-driven system, and it'll help assess the quality of grain in a predictable way. And it allows farmers, as well as commercial grain buyers and food processors, to all have access to fully transparent data. And this will maximize efficiencies, and it will help people make good decisions. So when we invest in AI, we're not just investing in technology for the sake of technology. We're investing in industry, in people, in jobs, and in resilience from an economic perspective. So we're really investing in the long-term future and vision for the prairies. And we're also investing in one strong Canadian economy. And as we progress to do so, I'm so glad to have partners like Ground Truth And I look forward to even more ways that we can collaborate in the future. So thank you to our hosts, Ground Truth, for your warm welcome. And to the other partners here today, thank you so much for your innovative leadership. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Minister Olszewski. So a little bit more of a plug on Ground Truth and then Off-Street and Greenwave as well. So Ground Truth was founded with a simple but ambitious goal to transform how grain grading is done throughout the entire supply chain. For too long, this process has been a manual, time-consuming, and subjective one. Our technology uses proprietary artificial intelligence to make grading more consistent, accurate, efficient, and more accessible right at the point of delivery. We started here in Saskatchewan, and while our reach now extends across Canada and beyond, our roots remain here in the prairies. The funding announced today from the Minister through Prairies Can AI Bundle is a direct investment in the future of agriculture through us. It will allow us to accelerate the development of our platform and bring this innovation to the entire grain supply chain. This support also creates more opportunities right here at home with jobs in Saskatchewan and across Western Canada, and technology that keeps the prairie agriculture competitive and on a global stage. So a little bit about Off-Street. I plug Kyle for a little snippet here. Off-Street is the leading guest and event parking platform in North America, helping universities, healthcare institutions, and property managers streamline parking operations. The platform simplifies permitting and customer management, creating a seamless experience for operators and their guests. Institutions like Michigan State, UCLA, and the Ohio State choose Off-Street because it eliminates the hassle of managing guests and event parking, integrates seamlessly with existing systems, reduces administrative workload, and ensures a smooth visitor experience from reservation to arrival. A little bit about Greenwave. I asked Dean for a snippet here. Greenwave is a Regina-based energy management company delivering solutions and services designed to unlock operational excellence in buildings. Greenwave collects real-time data with equipment-level granularity for electrical, natural gas, and water consumption throughout a building. Using a data-driven process and their in-house AI-powered software, Greenwave is enabling building owners and operators to lower operating expenses, reduce their carbon footprints, reduce insurance and business interruption risk while enhancing building life safety systems. Greenwave is truly helping to make our world more responsible, one building at a time. So on behalf of Ground Truth, Off-Street, Greenwave, all of our teams, I want to sincerely thank Prairies Can and Minister Olszewski for their confidence in our vision. This investment fuels our growth and reaffirms what we've all believed from day one, that world-class innovation can be built right here in the prairies. That concludes the formal part of our program. We're going to do a media scrum. We can do it right over here immediately following this, and then we're going to do a tour afterwards, but just for the minister. So thank you very much, everybody. Also, I should mention, photo. There's a photo. So Kyle, whoever from Greenwave, anybody come on up, Off-Street Greenwave, myself and Minister, we'll have a photo op up here right away.
Okay. So we are here today to announce some significant investments with respect to Saskatchewan companies that are using AI to scale up and to innovate. And those announcements had to do with 3 different companies. One of the companies, which is Ground Truth, has AI technology that will help grain grading. And in doing so, using AI technology, it assists not only farmers, but all the way through the supply chain to make sure that everyone has access to transparent data regarding grain. So that's actually a really exciting development. And with respect to the second company, they have to do with energy management and reducing carbon footprint, and also assisting in emergency programs at buildings. So it's an AI program that can activate various shut-off valves in the event of an emergency. And then the third company is using AI with respect to a system for parking, and especially large kinds of parking arrangements. And so these are really using AI in a transformative way, because here in our country and in the prairie provinces, we're very good at research into AI, and now we need to take that research a step forward and actually adopt and commercialize. And so I think it's a really exciting opportunity for these 3 Saskatchewan companies. Thank you.
You spoke a bit about just, how Saskatchewan is sort of at the forefront in a lot of different sorts of innovation. Can you just expand on that a bit more, like some of the examples that you've seen?
I can indeed, and you're absolutely right. Saskatchewan is at the forefront of a lot of innovation across this country, and that's innovation with respect to the agri-food business in particular, but also with respect to critical minerals and a number of other manufacturing areas. And so I'm excited to be here today because, as I say, it's an incredible opportunity for businesses in Saskatchewan, not only to further investment in Saskatchewan, but it really, when we invest in Saskatchewan, we're really investing in the entire Canadian economy as well. And of course, that's very important.
Can you just give the breakdown again of that total amount, like how much is going to each company?
Sorry.
Yeah, how much of the, I think it was 1.1 million or something like that, can you just give the breakdown of how much is going to each?
Absolutely, I can do that. With respect to the breakdown of the funds that are going to the 3 businesses, Ground Truth Agriculture is receiving $586,900, and Greenwave Innovation, and that's the company that does, it's an energy monitoring platform, $425,000. And then through the Business Scale Up and Productivity Program, $300,000, which is going to Off-Street Technology, and that's the parking company that we talked about. Thank you.
Is there any strings attached to the money? Do they have to pay it back, or they pay it back at a reduced interest rate?
They are interest-free loans, and so they are repayable. Thank you.
A question under your emergency management portfolio, if you may. We know forest fires have been an issue across the country. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick enacted a stay out of the woods with $25,000 fines. Some people say this goes against people's charters rights. Do you want to comment on that?
My comment would be that, being involved in emergency management and seeing the traumatic and difficult situations that people have been faced with across the country, we really need to do all that we can to make sure that we avoid exacerbating these wildfires or doing anything possible that might start yet another wildfire. I mentioned earlier, there are people across the country that have risked their lives, to save other people and to save their properties. And I'm really hoping that, that all Canadians, we want to care about our fellow Canadian and make sure that we're not taking steps that endanger people's lives or that endanger their families or their homes.
And on the wildfires, what is your comment to the notion that the Saskatchewan government took a little bit too long to get the federal assistance help and bring in the military during the wildfires?
So just with respect to Saskatchewan, it's the same as all other provinces and territories. When we manage a wildfire, we start on a local level, so we start at a municipal level, and if we're not able to handle a wildfire at that level, then the resources of the provincial government are brought to bear, and then it's only if those resources are overwhelming for a province or territory that the federal government becomes involved. And so in the case of Saskatchewan, when we received a request for assistance from the Saskatchewan government, which we did, of course we responded as quickly as possible, and we provided firefighting assistance as well as helicopters to move people and equipment. And that RFA is called a request for assistance. It's been extended in the case of Saskatchewan. And, I do want to reassure people in Saskatchewan that we will be there. The federal government will be there, whenever we're called upon to assist with respect to wildfire efforts.
And now that they are here, like what's the most recent update? How's that been going, the federal assistance?
Sorry?
Like now that they are there now, like it's been a couple of weeks now, like how's that been going? Like from what you
So it's my understanding that that's been going very well. And of course, we have received a request to extend that assistance for some further time, which again, we agreed to do right away.
And then going back to, I guess, today's announcement, I guess, when people hear the notion of AI, people might associate AI to the idea of, taking jobs away from humans. I guess, what is kind of like, what do you have to say to kind of respond to something like that if you are just hearing about the news today?
Don't I absolutely understand that particular concern, but I think we have to look at it from the perspective of a couple of things. So number one is competitiveness, that, as everyone else, other companies around the world, as they begin to use AI, we won't be able to compete unless we are doing the same, because we just we can't have as much productivity as we could otherwise. And so I think we need to look at it in terms of, the fact that increase in productivity is going to help our businesses grow, and that will in fact create jobs. So I think, we need to maybe stop being as afraid of AI as we are. That said, we need to have responsible AI development, and I think we need to look at it in terms of opportunities for our businesses. And of course, that includes the businesses that just received funding today and any other business across the country that wants to employ AI technology.
Just on that subject of responsible use of AI, I'm not sure if you would have sort of knowledge of the number in terms of these companies specifically. Are they using is there any risk for some of the data centers that use AI, I'm aware of, has a lot of detrimental environmental impacts, for example, like for ChatGPT, for example. Are you aware of any such implications with the use of AI here?
Yeah, and and I can't really comment on the situation here. Sorry.
Final question. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm ready. Tell us how this money helps your company.
So this money is huge for us from a commercialization aspect. It allows us to grow beyond the borders of Saskatchewan, put money towards the efforts required to make, when you're building a new product, you have to get the word out there. It's not as easy as just, making it available online and hoping people come to you. You have to go out there and pursue, and so this money makes that a lot easier for us.
Tell us about this technology.
So our technology, we've built a system that can grade grain. Grain has been graded the same way by humans for the last 110, 120 years, and so we've built a system that can automate that process. So this is visual aspects as well as non-visual aspects. So hard red spring wheat, for instance, has 50 to 60 visual characteristics that humans have to assess by looking at it right now, whereas we can do it through AI and have trained models that can identify all of those characteristics. And then there are things like protein and moisture, oil content. We use NIR spectroscopy data with AI models to be able to identify, accurately predict, and notify of those values as well.
How does this technology affect the producer? What's the benefit to the producer?
So from a producer, actually I grew up on the farm, so from a producer perspective, you really have no transparency into the quality of your data. You collect samples as you're loading from harvest into the bin, and when you get those samples, you send them to your potential or grain buyer options that you have in your area, and they grade it, and then they let you know what it is. But you have to wait until you haul in that grain to know specifically what you have from a quality perspective, because they will grade it again when you arrive at facility to deliver that. And so there's always this question mark from a farm perspective of, what do I have for quality? Even though that makes up your bottom line, and that's what gets what you get paid for that. So it's a big challenge from a farm perspective.
You talked about getting the word out about ground truth, maybe outside Saskatchewan. Can you just tell us a little more about that, and why are you pursuing that?
Yeah, so the cool part about what we're doing is we've built a system that can change the way this has been done forever, but getting outside of Saskatchewan is hugely important because Canadian grain ships all over the world. And so if we only focus on staying here in Western Canada with this technology, we're doing a disservice to Canadian grain and other grain around the world, because we need to provide that consistency no matter where this grain moves from here to the final destination, all the way through the supply chain. That consistency is important at every step of the way it goes. Also, grain is not just graded once or twice, it's graded 6, 7, 8 times through the process until it gets to be a consumer good.
So are you talking about in terms of expanding your customer base elsewhere within Canada or even outside Canada?
Even outside Canada. So there are companies so you have grain buyers in Canada. So if we're working with a grain buyer, selling to them, they have locations in Canada, but then they have locations outside of Canada as well. So ideally, we want to be the de facto standard when it comes to grading for Canadian commodities, but also any other type of commodity around the world as well, because one model that can be able to identify all of these different categories and characteristics of grain is important for consistency. If we have ours doing one thing here and somebody else is doing something different somewhere else, we've just created a disjointed system, and that's what we're trying to eliminate.
Why is it important for your company to expand in that way?
I mean, for our company, obviously it helps from a revenue perspective if we can expand outside of just Western Canada. But also, again, we have to provide that consistency all the way through. If we are not at every stage that grain moves through, then we haven't done a full, thorough job throughout the supply chain. And so being able to provide something like this gives us the ability to do that.
The sign in front of you says economic development. Can you give us that snapshot where you are now and where you hope this, if I recall, 586,000 will put you in 6 months a year?
Yeah, it's huge. It's great timing for us because this is a new product that we developed and we've just started going to the market with it. And so being able to access funds to help, be a catalyst for that information or for that process and that marketing side of things when you're just getting to market with a commercial product is a big economic driver for a company like ours, a startup company.
Can you give us a snapshot of employees, sales?
Yeah, so I won't get into sales, but I can give you a snapshot of employees. So we're at about 25 full-time employees. Good mix there we have some on the marketing team as well as a lot on development. We're still pretty development heavy because we are an early stage company building products. So there's we have a good balance between all the different avenues that we need to get this product out the door.
And your hopes is to double it, or where are you hoping?
For sure, yeah. I'd like to have you guys back here in no time and have twice the size of building here that we have to have an announcement at. But yeah, ultimately for sure. Now the drive being on the commercial side, we'd like to have more and more going out the door. So then we need more in manufacturing, and then we need more on the commercial team, and so yeah, continually growing that in every aspect.
Can you speak more specifically about how the role of AI will increase the productivity of the workflow and also the training of the staff as well?
Yeah, so we have these conversations internal all the time around where do we take advantage of AI opportunities and where can't we? And so we're always trying to automate as many processes as we can and utilize any function of AI that we can. And that goes not just from building a model that can, is the kind of foundation of our system, but also in our processes in-house. We are utilizing, and that's not just ChatGPT or any kind of large language model. To me, those are table stakes at this point in time. This is us training specific models for specific applications to speed and enhance things internally.
Just on that.
I'm just mindful of the time here. Can we do one more question here? And then if you'd like to ask questions of any of the others, we can.
Sure. I guess, is the AI that you're using for your company reliant on data centers? And if so, do you know where they're located or how much power they might use?
Yeah, it depends. I won't get into the details of the exact data centers that we use, but for sure, we utilize data centers and we're always, it's a push and pull. If there is data centers available in Canada for us, we would prefer to use them. That's always the way. But at the end of the day, price is a factor in those decisions, and speed and accessibility. But definitely from sovereign data centers is our preferred method, but, we actually also build our system to be able to navigate from one to the other with ease, just so that we're not handcuffed.
All right, thanks. Do you have any questions for either of the other companies here today?
I'm gonna have to